New Zealand's ETS is based on New Zealand's obligations under the Kyoto Protocol. However, with the developments of the Paris Agreement, coming COP28, and New Zealand's own change in government, how does CarbonCrop now view the potential pre-1990 New Zealand native bush to be included in the New Zealand ETS going forward? To clarify, the inclusion, the growth that has occurred in that pre-1990 bush since 1990. So initially on the clarification, I think there is an extremely low chance that there will be any recognition of growth occurring in native bush historically in general. Any recognition and all that we're pushing for is growth from basically today or the last couple of years, depending on where you draw the boundaries. And the reason for this is that we're looking to incentivize ongoing action through the recognition of ongoing results. You don't really do much in terms of incentivization if you start creating an incentive markets for outputs that were achieved 30 years ago. So we're not pushing for that. I'm not an expert in the space, but my understanding is that the Paris Agreement gives New Zealand pretty broad flexibility to change how it sets its how it does its carbon accounting. But there is a caveat that we're not allowed to change the rules in a way that makes it just easier for us to achieve our reduction targets. So if we were to adjust the threshold in a way that included a whole heap of new stuff, we'd have to adjust our targets correspondingly. And I don't think that's the change that's likely to happen. We see the real opportunity as basically there's a huge amount of ongoing carbon removals within New Zealand's native and forests that are due to actions within those forests. So there is actually an action being taken, and it would qualify under some improved forest management approach, which is our current methodology. It's just that the existing accounting methods don't sufficiently recognize it or acknowledge it. There is work going on within government to address this under a funded program around recognition of ongoing carbon removals in pre-90 forest. Many people don't know, but there were actually 20 million tonnes of carbon removals in pre-1990 forest recognised over the final Kyoto phase between 2013 and 2020 on New Zealand's international accounts, just not in the ETS. So there is precedent for this. The short answer to the question is that we're very optimistic about progress in this space and change. And we would like to see this happen. Like, we have our own voluntary recognitions framework for carbon removals in pre-1990 native forest. Our preference is that that would be within the ETS, and we can just treat it the same as we do with post-89 forest in the ETS. I don't know if you've got any commentary on that, Quinton, from sort of an international perspective.
It all does seem a bit doom and gloom, but you know, what we know is that we are getting closer to our 1990 target, the Kyoto target. Whereas currently, right now, this minute, it's sitting at 124% of New Zealand's emissions target, so which means we're 24% over target. But that's come down 3% in the past 6 months, so we're heading in the right direction. So we're getting there type statement. It's not all doom and gloom. It's positive. So this combined with a whole bunch of other stuff is doing the job. It's slow going, hard going, but it's working.
Yeah, it's a good point actually to reiterate something which has caused me frustration from time to time, the comment that the ETS is not fit for purpose and the ETS doesn't work. I find that very frustrating. I think the ETS has been effective, will continue to be effective, and it's really just about tweaking the dials a bit and getting the right settings. Like when you look at those, like the ETS drives behavior through price. Quinton articulated the impacts on price that various dial tweaking had last year. If we tweak the dials in the right direction, we will drive the right behavior. And there is actually evidence of that. So yeah, the ETS isn't perfect, but we should be extremely cautious before we do anything to cripple it, because it's probably had a bigger impact than anything else so far on behavior change.
Yep, I agree. And if I can just point to something else. So I mentioned that we're a subsidiary of Transpower, and everything that we do, that I do, is designed to, or has to point to, supporting decarbonising of our power system. And the reason we're here, right, in this carbon market is that price, the carbon price, needs to be visible to people who need to change their behaviour. And in the energy space, it's we're focusing on fossil fuel burning, and a good chunk of that is an industrial process heat. So if you can, we know that the carbon price only needs to be between $35 and $80 to incentivize somebody to switch from a coal boiler to a like a biomass boiler, or to something like an electrode boiler. So that we're there. People just need to understand, they need to have access to a market, where they can see that price, and they need to understand the technology options that are there for them to change their behavior. Because I think people, feel like they're being penalized. You know, driving electric cars, right, is expensive. But if you can see the price point, some
Yep.
sort of price signal that says, okay, this is a good time to make the change. We just need to get out there and educate people. So there's a lot of moving parts. CarbonCrop, you're doing a bloody amazing job getting people into the program. And we're trying to, we can, whatever we can do to support you and your customers, we'll do it. So keep it up. Thank you.